Children have often been directly portrayed as the personification of innocence. However, this is not the case with all of them, with some even having committed crimes that are just nightmare fuel.
God! God! God!
Well, today we'll be taking a look at 10 of the most dangerous kids and how they reacted to receiving life in prison. Number 10. Cameron Herron. A state appeals court has affirmed Cameron Herron's 24-year jail term for his part in a Bayshore Boulevard traffic accident that killed a mother and her young daughter in 2018 and was caused by him. A 3-judge panel of the 2nd District Court of Appeal upheld the trial court sentence on Friday after hearing oral arguments in the case earlier this month. The judge's decision was not published by the court. It is obviously very disappointing, but appeals such as this are always a steep uphill climb, said Herron's attorney John Fitzgibbons. We are currently evaluating the options which we have. In Herron's appeal, it was questioned whether Circuit Judge Christopher Nash had overstepped his bounds in imposing the punishment. The appeal drew attention to the disparity between Herron's sentence and that of John Barrineau.
So on count 1, the court's going to adjudicate the defendant guilty, sentence him to 9 years in Florida State Prison. Sentence him to 15 years Florida State Prison, and that'll run consecutive to count 1 for a total 24 years Florida State Prison. And I'll direct the bailiffs to take Mr. Herron into custody.
The other involved juvenile driver, who made a deal for a 6-year sentence. On May 23, 2018, the collision happened on the renowned boulevard. Witnesses reported seeing Barrineau driving a Nissan Altima and Herron, who was only 18, driving a Ford Mustang that had been given to him as a reward for his recent high school graduation as they accelerated north on Bayshore. Number 9. Samantha Grigg. Samantha Grigg won't cross a high school graduation stage this spring. She'll enter prison. She will spend the next 4 years in a cell rather than Eastern Michigan University classes after a judge's decision on Tuesday morning. Grigg, a Saline resident who is 18 years old, could not keep her head up as she listened to Clinton County Trial Court Judge Randy Tavonen sentence her to prison for the 19-year-old student Dustin Frolka's death. Grigg confessed to charges of manslaughter and unarmed robbery. Grigg expressed her regret for her part in killing Frolka while sobbing. Even though she was driving 2 people to a robbery, she said she never meant to hurt him. He was a fellow musician, Grigg said, her voice catching on emotion. It really breaks my heart. I wish I could take it back every day.
I would like to extend my deepest remorse to the family of the victim. He was a fellow musician. It really breaks my heart.
Brendan Heim, 16, and Tyrell Brenerditz, 18, were on their way to East Lansing on February 15 when the senior at Saline High School, age 18, who was 1/2 credit away from graduating, picked him up. Frolka was so badly beaten by Heim and Brenerditz that he leapt out of a Ford Explorer, moving between 45 and 60 kilometers per hour. The car was being driven by Grigg. Number 8. Kai Andrea Cook. Following the overturning of her initial sentence last year, a teenager from Volusia County who was accused of luring men into a carjacking learned her fate on Monday. Kai Andrea Cook was found guilty of carjacking and violence, and the judge had originally sentenced her to 20 years in jail. However, Monday's verdict, according to WESH 2's Alex Villarreal, was very different. Kai Andrea Cook, 19, was given a prison term of 11 years, or just over half of her initial sentence, by the judge. What has changed, according to the judge and the prosecution, is her cooperation with the government to apprehend the alleged gunman in the carjacking case. An agreement between the state and the defense was accepted by Judge Matthew Foxman. She will spend 20 years on probation in addition to her 11 years in prison, and she will also be required to make reparations to the victims. Cook was detained in April of last year on suspicion of meeting men using a smartphone app, luring them to isolated South Daytona locations, and where other conspirators snatched or stole their cars. Her mother's reaction to her sentence went viral on the internet. Cook's face expresses her remorse. Number 7. Fernando Salgado. While being arraigned on sexual assault charges in Fontana Superior Court, an 18-year-old Californian student sobbed uncontrollably. Fernando Salgado quietly entered a not guilty plea to the 2 charges stemming from several classroom situations at A.B. Miller High School, but he erupted when he was told that his bail had been set at $300,000 and that he would have to stay in jail until July 9th. "Get me out of here, get me out of here," yelled Salgado as he cried out, "I want to go home so bad," to his family and friends who had arrived in the courtroom to support him. Number 6. Damon Kemp. According to an arrest report made on Public Monday, Damon Kemp sprinted toward a Daytona Beach police officer who was looking into a home invasion at the Jade Park apartment homes and yelled, "I killed my friend." Just before 2 a.m. on Friday, officers stopped Kemp and discovered a .40 caliber Glock handgun that was empty about 50 feet away. Another empty extended magazine was discovered at the complex. And an erratic acting Kemp was captured on a police body camera making statements. "To be honest, I was going to unintelligible with my friend the Ace. His name is Trey Ingraham. I shot him," according to the report. At his first court appearance when he was wheeled out in front of a judge while yelling "God" repeatedly,
God! 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 God!
Kemp's strange conduct persisted. Family members of the victims were there and yelled at him. Number 5. Conrad Schaefer. A judge sentenced the youngest triggerman, 15, to 2 consecutive life terms in jail on Friday after he and his friends terrified Osceola County with random shootings that claimed the lives of 2 innocent bystanders. After learning how the deaths of pupils David Guerrero and Eric Rupnerin tore apart their lives, Conrad Schaefer, now 18 years old, apologized to the families in court.
I gotta do the time, and I'm sorry for what I did. I was 15 at the time, and I'm really sorry for the things I've done. And I know I did wrong, and I know my apologies don't mean nothing to you. I just feel like I need to apologize, and I really am sorry for what I've done. I wish it never happened. I wish I could take it back. I wish I could change things, but I can't.
In the spate of violence that left locals on edge for 2 weeks as bullets entered their homes and cars 22 times, Schaefer had already admitted guilt to 2 counts of first-degree murder. Jeff Ashton, the Orange Osceola state attorney, questioned Schaefer's genuineness after hearing him talk and referred to him as a sociopath. Because Schaefer was a juvenile at the time of the killings, he is entitled to have his sentence reviewed in 25 years when it could be shortened. Number 4. Elisa Bustamante. Elisa Bustamante appeared to be a typical adolescent girl. She was simply always so kind and everyone adored her, according to friends. She was really incredible. However, the 15-year-old girl had a far darker personality hidden inside of her, as evidenced by her online identity. Elisa Bustamante's virtual alter persona would predict her most terrible deed, the murder of 9-year-old Elizabeth Olton, which may have startled her friends and family. Elizabeth Olton, aged 9, resided 4 homes away from the Bustamante family. To play with Elisa and her siblings, she frequently came over. Patricia Priest, Olton's mother, claimed that Olton wanted to go play at Elisa's house the night before she was killed. Elisa Bustamante admitted to killing Elizabeth Olton in court. She claimed that she stabbed Elizabeth in the chest and then slashed the girl's throat. Elisa then placed her victim's body in the hand-dug small grave that was located behind their residences. Number 3. Nate Anderson. A Texas boy who shot his sister 4 times in the head will serve at least the next 10 years of his life behind bars. In a Tyler, Texas courtroom today, 16-year-old Nate Anderson entered a plea of guilty to first-degree murder. He was given a 20-year prison term in Texas for killing his 19-year-old sister, Amanda Anderson, in their house in September 2010. However, after serving 10 years, he will be eligible for parole. Anderson only responded yes or no to the court's inquiries throughout the trial. Mark and Stacy Anderson, his parents, were permitted to provide affidavits rather than testify in court. As a mother who loves both of her children, this has been the most difficult ordeal I have ever experienced, Stacy Anderson wrote in her statement. Number 2. Jasmine Richardson. In April 2006 in Medicine Hat, Canada, everyone in Jasmine Richardson's family was killed except her. But her life wasn't miraculously spared, nor was she heartbroken. That's because the deaths of the Richardson family were the result of a murder at the hands of 12-year-old Jasmine and her 23-year-old boyfriend Jeremy Steinck. The horrifying killings shocked not only the 60,000-person community, but the entire nation. Jasmine Richardson, who was accused of committing 3 first-degree murders, became the youngest person ever to be found guilty of triple murders in Canada. 2016 saw her release after the completion of 10 years of jail time. And at number 1, Stuart Harling. As he planned his path to notoriety as a serial killer, Stuart Harling was a recluse who lived in a virtual world of graphic video games and disturbing websites. In order to fully immerse himself in his fantasy world, the 19-year-old turned his back on his family and abandoned his plans to pursue a profession in accounting. He then violently murdered 32-year-old Cheryl Moss. Harling would later admit to doctors that he had fantasized about being a serial killer after viewing a documentary about American multiple murderer Richard Ramirez, who claimed 13 victims in the Los Angeles region. He had methodically studied other serial killers' work and developed a violent obsession. Judge Brian Barker sentenced him to at least 20 years in prison, telling him, "You have shown to us that your destructive and fatal activities appear to have meant little to you." And this brings us to our end of our list. If we missed any, comment down below. We'll see you all in our next video. Bye for now.